Katie Dutcher from Flourish and Bloom and Monterey Bay Meditation Studio. And today I'd like to offer a phrase that really is helpful to me anyway. It's the idea of surrendering to right now. And the reason I say it's a phrase that's helpful to me is because I think that there's certain concepts when it comes to mindfulness or meditation or other things where you can say the same thing in different ways using different words. And depending on the person, something hits just right with a certain phrase or a certain way of explaining or putting things. Sometimes a metaphor helps, or it's just a word choice. And and that's why I think it's so helpful to be listening to different teachers and reading books and things like that, because you multiply the number of ways that maybe similar concepts can be explained. And so for me, this phrase of surrender to the moment is different. It hits me differently than um, be in the moment or experience the present moment. And I can explain a little bit about that, and also like when I call in this almost like a mantra, or that kind of a teaching that I repeat. And it's usually when it feels like I'm fighting this moment, right? So sometimes when one of the things could be that there's something coming that I'm excited about, or even wanting to get over with. That there's a moment in the future that my mind keeps heading to, that that I would like to be in now, or I would like to come sooner than it seems like it's coming. And so reminding myself to surrender to this moment, it it's helpful. It is stopping that fight, or that um, you know trying to enter into a moment that's not there, right? That's not here yet. It's coming, but right now there's this moment. And I'm if my mind is simply going into this next thing, then I'm missing it. I'm missing now. um, and so another one that's really related to that is if I just don't really like what's happening in this moment, right? Like maybe it's boring. Maybe I feel restless, and I want it to be finished, but it isn't finished. And again, what's similar in both of these situations is wanting things to be other than they are. Things are a certain way. I'm in this moment, and this is the way this moment is. And there's first a judgment about it. I don't like this, or this isn't enough. There's not action happening here. It's not something I like. And so then this wish for a, jumping into some other moment, or some other reality in which this moment would be different. And what surrender does, it's funny, I just took this big breath, and that's what I feel like when I hear the word surrender. I'm just like, and and it feels like, because it's a big word, I think and it's a word we don't use a lot, that it reminds me that this can feel like a really big choice to be in this moment. It can feel like there's all this wanting and wishing and planning and all these things that are going on, and this is like just this setting it aside, or letting it go for now. And that can feel like a big task. And so the idea of surrender is it's big, and it asks us maybe to take that big deep breath and bring in some courage to just be in this moment. What surrender doesn't mean to me is defeat. A lot of times if we think about surrender, it has this war context, that one side will need to surrender, and that means the other side has won. And so that surrender is actually defeat. I don't see it that way in this context because it is a choice. It is a choice to surrender into this moment. And when we do that, when we choose surrender, even if the moment doesn't change, it's still boring or it's still whatever it is that made us not want to be in it. Even if it doesn't change, there's still a little more peace and sometimes a lot more peace inside because there's not this internal, like, I don't want this. I often compare me or any of us adults to little kids because I think we still have a little kid sometimes living inside of us. That kid that's like, you imagine you're holding a child on your lap and they're just like, no, having that little tantrum. And imagine if there was some way that this child then calms down and is just like, okay, all right. That 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 fight, that tension, that sort of like wanting to move but not being able to move, that is calmed when we surrender. So I'd like to offer a meditation and bringing in this theme of being right here in this moment. And this is especially one where if you feel like right now, oh, I was listening to this, but I don't know if I have time for a meditation, that I might want to do something different now. This is a good one because what if you surrender into this? This will be probably about a 10-minute or so meditation. So try it on. Thanks for being with me in this. So I'll start by ringing the bell, and you can go ahead and let yourself get comfortable right where you are, sitting or lying down. Welcoming yourself to this moment and this time of meditation. And as we begin with your senses, feeling in to where you are right now, to this moment in this place where you're situated. With the tactile sensing, you can feel your body. And you can feel your body resting against a chair or a couch, whatever's underneath you and behind you. With your sense of hearing, you can take in various sounds. Maybe there's a ticking of a clock, or the white noise of a refrigerator, or some other device. Perhaps you can overhear something from someone else. And beyond the walls of where you're sitting, perhaps you can take in sounds of traffic or other sounds. There may or may not be a scent, a smell of cooking or a candle, something that you can detect with your sense of smell. What you are taking in right now through your senses, some of it may be pleasant. Maybe I notice myself supported by the couch and the pillow, and I feel comfortable here. Some of it perhaps may feel neutral, neither pleasant nor unpleasant, just happening. Maybe that's the sound of the cars passing by distantly. And some of what may be occurring right now is unpleasant, unwanted. Perhaps there's a chill in the air or a louder sound, a pang somewhere in the body. Or perhaps the discomfort is related to thoughts or emotions. Maybe there's a worry that keeps coming in about something happening later or something unknown. That doesn't feel quite settled. All of these various elements, what you're taking in with your senses, what you're sensing within you, this is what makes up right now. This is the moment that you're in. And if you'd like, I'd invite you to take a few deeper breaths, as if you were taking in what's here, bringing in the breath all the way to fill the lungs, to come in to the area of the belly, and then exhaling fully. And as you do, allowing the body to sink into this seat. Inviting yourself to surrender into this moment. letting your breath return to its natural pace. And inviting your attention to remain here with this breath. The breath coming in and then going out. Reminding yourself that right now, it's just this moment. There are no other moments that you need to take care of right now. Just attending to this one. And you can simply notice if there's still a kind of a fight going on internally. It's kind of pushback in the mind or the heart. But it's wanting more or wanting something different. It's not that we need to force this away. We can simply acknowledge it. Okay, this is here too in this moment. Surrendering to this moment, to this breath. Tuning in to this breath as if diving into a pool of water. surrendering to this moment, to right now, this moment slowly unfolding into the next moment. Inviting yourself internally, perhaps, to slow down, to move at the pace of the breath. Sometimes we surrender into this moment simply because there is no other choice. This is the only moment that there is right now. We can choose many things, and at the same time, there are things we don't choose, circumstances, behavior of other people, the passage of time. Bowing to what is here, little by little, cultivating patience, being with, flowing with what is actually occurring, which may or may not be as we wish it to be. And the more that we become still, the more that we allow ourselves to just be right here, the more clearly we can see this moment. The more fully we can be with what's occurring externally and internally. And as we shift focus away from fighting against what we can't control, often we become more acquainted with the choices that do exist, what is within our purview. Surrendering to this moment right here. listening now to the sound of the bell. Thanks for being here with me. And I want to say that if this was a really difficult one for you, then one practice you might want to invite here is this just compassion for yourself. It is hard. It's hard to surrender to this moment often. And, you might just kind of give yourself a little hug, a little pat, and know that, yeah, sometimes this is really hard. You're not the only one. And also sometimes there something can be really good and beneficial and really uncomfortable. And that may have been this practice for you. Thanks for being here. If this phrase is helpful to you, or some other way that you want to phrase it, then I invite you to take it with you. Keep it in your back pocket, and it will return to you when you need it. When you have one of those moments where you're like, ugh, I want to get out of this moment. That deep breath sinking into this moment. I'm wishing you all the best today and beyond.